Here we go. Getting started slowly here. Jumbo, Junde, Nele, Rajumbo, Yanda, Barazobe, Sangi, Ripa, Janjatsu, Demba, Devora, Shebo, Jide, Kimba, Jimbo, Kalon, Gemba, Lana, Nebo, Nenungi, Sangi, Junde, Nele, Jaja, Tubola, Chaza, Mutu, Jazu, Rajombo yanda bobe sangi ripa don shakti devara sheba jidin kimbo jivu lule alu lana meba padam gena gitobo sangi chonde pege wa shakta tuba cha chodo jazu ji Lana meba lada bena de tumbo sangi chonde de vejawa chaya tubo la chaze yoto jaze che to jadam te sajen de la gomba du Nane jinde de na suje tu de de ke va gyula cha Nana bunga junu dulong Yeshe gazo terye hum Kaba jide zona Yune kyola cha Senjo demba jime tawe cha Serdon rawa kyola cha Tuje kyonda sepa suma je Nyame keji kyola Obo tuje jide hava Jide kempe tumba Eva Jaya Meja Yeho Range Sene Yonsu Dene Sange Tempa Parmaya Marme Ase Pachu Melan Tutan Jeta Vijay Chutnan Bil Tanjil Supadi Goham Tos Kyunge Radu Kada Nada Chiva Lapu Silve Sole the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When the supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you bathed out seven strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise then I prostrate. With pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the three worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme sign, face like the spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. You are immaculate, three worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit, qualities like a vast ocean. To you, the one gone to thusness, I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to that Dharma which pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew, or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the foe of false, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by ways of aging, sickness, and death.
Baba kunjo so la cha ze lo de ge da ge to ba de je na cho de de ji lu ga ja ko kung bo le la ge lo ge ge de chen bo da san ju se be ge de chen bo da ta ba ji de cho de de so mo la wa shi ja we chi je na da ge de ge de la nyu ge ya di ze da ju se ba chen bo ba ba je le de wa ju shi ra ji ba ro de chen bo sa mo je bo ni la na ba ta jin kum bo ma bo de ta la ya rang ji ge dong ba na ba ya ta de ne san ge ge tu ze dan de ba sha ri bu jang ju san ba chen bo ba ba je le ze wang ju ge da de ba sha ri dan de bo la de ge je ba so sha ri bu ri ge bo ri ge bo ma ga na la she ri ge ba ru de shen ba sa mo che ba che ba de ba de di da na ba ta wa de ge je me ba da ra ju san ba chen bo ba ba che le ze wang ju ge ce dan de ba sha ri dan de bo la de ge je me so sha ri bu ri ge bo mo ga na la she ri ge ba ru de shen ba sa mo che ba de ba de di da na ba ta wa sha de bum bum de da ya ya ra ji ge dong ba na ba ya da ba she zu ta wo zu dong ba ni zu le dong ba ni shen ma yin dong ba ni le kya zu shen ma yin de shen do to wa dan de je dan na ba she ba na dong ba wo sha ri ko de da she dam shi dong ba ni de zi ni me ba ma je ba ma ga ba chi ma me ba chi ma da che wa shi wa me ba kan wa me ba wo sha ri ko de da dong ba ni la zu me so wa me du ji ne na ba she ba me na wa me na me je me lu me yi me zu me ra me ji me ro me re sha me chu me do me ye ka me ba ne yi ke ka me yi ye na ba she ba kam ye ba de ya me do ma ri ba se ba me ka shi se be ba do ya me do de shin do dong ba wa dang gung ju ma dang go ba dang la me yi shi me to ba me ma do ba ya me do sha ri bu da da wa na jang ju sen ba na to ba me ve chi ri she ra je ba ru do chen ba la ten ji ne te sim la je ba me tra ba me de chen je lo le chen do de ne yang yen le de ve ta ra chen do du zong do na ba ju ve sang ge dang je yang je ro ge ba ru do chen ba la ten ne la na me ba yang da ba ru zo ve jang ju de mo ba ru zo ve sang ge so de da wa na she ra ge ba ru do chen be nga ba chen be nga la me be nga mi yang ba na nyam be nga do me da je ra tu she ba ru che be nga mi zu ba na den ba she ba cha de she ra ge ba ru do chen be nga me ba te ya da ga de ba ra sang ga de tu ti se do de bo cha ju san ba chen be ne da she ra ge ba ru do chen ba sa mo la la bu cha wo de ne chum de de ting yi de de shin ju san ba chen bo ba ba che le se on ju la le so she cha wa chin ne le ko le so ri ge bu de shin do de shin ne ji la ju je ten ba shin de she ra ge ba ru do chen ba sa mo la che ba cha de ji she ba nam pya che de yi ra chum de ji di ge je ka chen ne se dan de ba sha de da de bu da ju ten ba chen bu ba de ne se ba ju da de de ko de da da me da na ma yi da de sa che de yi da de ji tum ba la ngum ba de to
Thus I have heard once the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajaskrita on Vulture's Peak, together with a great assembly of monks and bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration that examines all phenomena, called profound illumination. And at the same time, the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, was engaged in the profound practice of the wisdom gone beyond, analyzing the five acts by nature empty. Then through the inspiration of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra spoke to the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, saying, how should those of good family learn who wish to follow the profound practice of the wisdom Gambhir? Thus he spoke, and the noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, replied to the Venerable Shariputra, saying, O Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of good family wishes to follow the profound practice of the wisdom Gambhir, should look at it like this, analyzing the five aggregates by nature empty. Form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is no other than form is no other than emptiness. In the same way, karmic formations and consciousness are all empty. Therefore, Shariputra, all phenomena are empty without characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are neither impure nor free from impurity. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no recognition, no karmic formations, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. There are no spheres of the eyes up to no spheres of the mind. There are none of these all the way up to the sphere of the consciousness. There is no ignorance, nor is there destruction of ignorance. There are none of these all the way up to there is no old age and death, nor is there destruction of old age and death. Thus there is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cessation of suffering, and no path. There is no wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment, all bodhisattvas hold to the wisdom Gambhir, and because there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. Passing utterly beyond philosophy, they reach beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who taught them 3 times by relying on the wisdom Gambhir, fully and clearly awakens once read. There were the ones who Gambhir, one experience, the only Buddha knows the best, one suffering should be known where there is no deception, the one who is Gambhir and is open. This is how a bodhisattva should learn the profound wisdom Gambhir. Then the blessed one arose from that concentration and praised the noble God. Saying very good, son of good family. It is exactly like that. The profound wisdom Gambhir should be practiced exactly as you have said. And then the Tathag has the Venerable Shariputra, the noble Avalokiteshvara, in the world of the gods, and the gods and spirits, their hearts full of joy. Praise the words of the Blessed One, so is the noble discourse. Yes, is the beyond.
또 스타트는 또 사람이 막 그랬어. 사람이 막 그랬어. chanju lanjire ba, sa chanju lanjire ba. 단ям 술래버 쳐발라 도망다. 고lunche 주 마시라고 하래.
This morning is our Sunday exposition of the Dharma of the Great Treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment. A Great Treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment is a text concerned with the discipline of practice. And so, in preparation for any practice, most critical of all is to adjust one's intention.
야, 다들 이제 간도 다 장주 남들은 봤다. 하나도 더더 더더 쉐바 있나다. 아, 계산하도 소신 세다비어 소신이라 눈이 나가려다 소신 교육 센터지 주비가 세다비어래. 아, 소신 세다비 아니 나가려야 지 공부될 다비어래. 아니 지 공부될라 아니 다 바게다 라마 소신 또 제니 팀이 교회 라마체 아니 상계다 장도 소신 타이버 세 나가라 세답샤 요레스 아니 디 대다기 장알 아니 사수르기다 소신기 조 하게 되버시 아니 디나네다 소신 조제 돼야 되겠어 아니 조다 산제 군조 되도체 라마다 산제기 되도체 다디네 권한도 송거 취지 풍부 추봉들도 취고 라는 라마다 소신기 도로 슈베 라마들도 좀 샤베 송 우디도 추군조 나바세 아니 타고도 상계다 자주 상계다 자세 보고는 타고는 여버도 기두군조 되되신 아니 제 소신 차단을 군조 좀 차단을 내가 천재 상황을 구부여해서
So then it is, in the Great Treatise on the Stages of the Path to Enlightenment, in the section concerned with the merit field, its visualization and petition. As I described last week, the merit field is visualized as form taking its shape in space itself, atop clouds, whereas in the visualization of the refuge field, the refuge is enthroned, seated atop thrones on the ground. Here instead, the visualization occurs in space atop clouds. And involved are the principal guru and all lineage lamas, lineage gurus, and the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas arranged in a vast order. And in the main, the visualization is of the Buddha, and the Buddha is the guru. And so of the three jewels, the Buddha is naturally present. But then each individual in the merit field has composed their intention in textual scripture. And so these two are present. The composed texts of these individuals in the merit field are the Dharma. And then too, at the periphery, beyond the Buddhas are the Bodhisattvas and the protectors and guardians. And these represent the Sangha. And so with these three all complete and present, we have the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha in the merit field.
Oh, 그래서 다 근데 제가 되게 다 소신 남자가 아니라면 그 기회 주다라니. 라니야 투지 소신 남지다 유대다 투지 챔베 권에 아니 다그 투지 챔베 권에 아니 왜다 다리라기를 발로고야 돼. 바간다 무슨도 다 소신 남자 라니는 게 라니 투지면 지금 아니죠. 아니 소신 남자 투지다 유대 챔베 안에 아니 다
And so this merit field may dissolve into each of us. And as it does, we recollect the extraordinary qualities of the merit field and their extraordinary compassion. And all this, these qualities and the compassion suffuses us as we engage in the training in the Great Treatise on the Stages of the Path to Enlightenment. So we commit ourselves to dissolving this merit field, which dissolves itself with great delight and satisfaction into each of us, and then suffused with this merit field, its compassion and extraordinary qualities, we commit ourselves to the training in the stages of the path to enlightenment.
Oh, exactly. Karsana tat karsene stat 좋아지 karseni까 karsana 말한도 그 통만 매반에 된 받아봐도라. 그 동해양 그 장매로 셀레매로 그 동해 들리지 양차매 세야매로 그 주는 동해 망부 양차래. 대화양 그 대화 디냥 매 세야매로 대화 차가 양차래스. 이나양 내 양차다 수중 알아도 그 동해 대화 영어의 체 요말 동해뉴의 체 요말에서 간 알아도 다 처럼 오만 남순 다 알아도 대화에 하려면 망부 뭐시에다 주주다 아니지 그 연대 망부 깨사와 이내 다 되게 보라 다다 냠 다다 개내다 규막 내다 뭐 요말에 대단 텐데 어떻게 버티서 대봐도 요말에서 뭐
Why do we think in this way about the merit field? We do so because since beginningless time, right up until the present, we have experienced continuously every conceivable form of agony and discontent. There's no discontent that we do not know, that we haven't yet experienced. Since beginningless time, we have been experiencing suffering and pain. So to say, this yet I haven't experienced doesn't apply, for we have in timeless cyclic existence. So too have we experienced every conceivable satisfaction. There's not one yet waiting for us, yet unexperienced. There's no such satisfaction we haven't already known. There are no bounds to these discontents and these satisfactions we have already experienced. And the satisfactions we've known have included clairvoyance and the ability to perform magical emanations and the rest. And then yet again, we fall into an ordinary state, which is all we have left now.
Oh, yeah, that one got young tower. 다동이안에 다들 동해 양 먹고 차여를 대한 차이가 말. 양 먹어야 맞아. 아니 동해 대가지 양고를. 아 되네 뒤양고 말. 뒤양고를. 대가지 양고를 세 단동이야 요 말을 단도 말아도 내 손. 내 손에 저 개버 있는 동해 세로 그 손투야 요 말. 제가 다동 동해들이 양고가 되게 차대요. 그래서
Yet with all of these experiences behind us, we still cannot say there's no more to come. There is more to come. That which is to come is similarly boundless. So to say, this has been experienced, so I haven't got to experience that again, or I have experienced this and I will not experience it again. This is not the case. When again we fall into an unfortunate hell realm, again, there's boundless suffering there in store for us.
Oh, yeah, that one 말한 좀 배. 근데 대화 톡 용어다. 근데 제 용어 장을 내버려. 다동 배제 장을 내버려. 이말에 이나양 땅하나도 가르치네. 아니 동해디 균제 투구 요 말에 가르치는 땅아도 동해원을 들어가서 양을 가도 먹어봐 양고야 가르치는 제벌했으나 다티 내가도 아니 자주 남기를 거기 셰를 남기를 받을 말로버게 아니 렘바이 받대 아니 시기요 그래서
Innumerable good qualities we have known, innumerable pains we have known. These are immeasurable to us. Having experienced so many, why is it that there's been no interruption? Why hasn't the experience of these come to any end? The reason that they continue and are continuous is precisely because we have not actually trained in the stages of the path to enlightenment.
Oh, yeah, that's how you 남기를 받을 남를 받을 남네. 아니 지금 봐요. 전번에 셰베게 도마다 지 단념 얘네 맛이 텐데 영어로 생각을 자주 인지돼. 잠바다 영어 잡아서 제네. 가끔 쌤 줄에 제바 이나 아니 가르치 두고 그래서 난다 신중 아니 동해 영어 먹고 와서 손을 내는 탈바 제바 내 손을 내는 깨 먹고 와 제게 다 나나 매버 대 차대요. 그래서
In the stages on the path to enlightenment, training is in equanimity, and then the recollection of all sentient beings having mothered us, the development of affectionate love for all sentient beings, then the development of compassion for each one, and finally the development of the mind of awakening itself requires, as we wish to bring an end, a final end to suffering, finally liberate ourselves from the bondage of the hell realms, so that we haven't any need again to experience them. This sequence of meditations involved in the Great Treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment is just what we must practice.
Oh, yeah, that 다른 말은 가르쳐요. 선에 손을 내는 탈네. 내 손에 대해 탈네. 다 네. 델루텐 토비오, 미루텐 상보지 토비오레스. 같이 인도가 미루텐 상보지 토비오가 인도 아니 다 맞아 가르쳐서 드링한도 야 두기인데 마 두기인데 조사기 산삼을 내요레스. 다들 수수그 담과 말로가 지냈다. 녀동을 아주 좀 먹고 지기 있나요? 다른 지역 참래 이내 대도는 전도야 도리 야도 땅이 있나요? 다른 조사기 나가 참는데요. 그래서
Now at this moment, as we have this respite from the suffering of the lower realms, a temporary liberation from that experience of the lower realms, which is involved in this precious human rebirth, the great fortune of the precious human rebirth. At this moment, we are at a crux, the very cusp of the decision whether we continue to improve our fortunes and move upwards, or fail to do so and move again downwards. The decisive moment where we can determine whether we experience the suffering of the hell realms again is upon us now.
다 가르치는 상담에서 그참 전부터 제고야 굉장히 가려서나 다 달랭 말함서라 제 투약이 미기 땐 상고 미기 밀루 된조고 밀루 토비어레스 아니 벌랍 투야 유하게 아니 산지기 땜바다 제요레스 제가 니가와 된조고 밀루 체가와 산지기 땜바다 제바 니디 다 규전 조니디어 띵어서 상태요레스.
Why do we consider this a decisive moment? It is a decisive moment because we have inherited the great fortune and biological endowment of a precious human body, which is so incredibly difficult to inherit. Furthermore, we have encountered the Buddha Dharma, extraordinarily difficult to ever encounter. So in these two fortunes, we have the decisive conditions.
다 교다 젠창레스 교다 젠창와 다 수수비 뭐마 갈래 잼 달래랑 젠디게 차단 창요 다 달래 젠 교다 젠디 랑이 아니 베다 톨라만도 삐다 보지 제버이나 아니 치마 대양 달래를 상 야가지 러제 고급지어래서.
So these causes, these conditions are present for us now. They are the result of our past labors. They are the result, the fortunate result of our past labors. So now we have them and we mustn't squander them. And if we wish not to squander them, then we use them. And when we do use them, then our fortunes improve and we have a hope for better prospects.
다 이제 다 말아도 달래 가르쳐 버렸다. 달래 아니 다 랑이다 유다 젠다 차단 상황대 랑이 셰버다 쳐라도 남지기 셰럽이야. 요래 인도 단다 쳐라도 남지 셰럽 되겠다. 내만도 랑이 랑라다 맞지와 요마다 수수이나 랑랑 가게를 랑랑 샤색을 랑 제기로서다 인도 랑라다 동해 맞지와 대화 깨버 쳐야겠다. 탑 약속 합라나 매버대 다른 수술 나벌 요레스 세상 들이리 다디 랑이 냠서 랑네 아니 다 랍중나 아니 세대다 산게지 고반 풀려 마중나야 다베 타바를 팔아서 되네 모든나 지망에 손도 마지와 세게 탑 쳐다 랑이 지투야 여봐 제약이 탑 여봐 제투야 여봐 되게 차산 차대요 제대 인디서마다 다른 랑이 랑 맞추고 쳐야 되는 치라 개좀 차대요 그래서.
Now what? In these circumstances, but for us to comprehend how it is we have these causes and conditions present for us, we comprehend it through our natural endowment, which includes discriminating wisdom. And then each one of us has self-concern, appreciates one's own worth and value. Appreciating one's own worth and value, there's the natural wish to avoid pain and to find contentment. And when this is true, then we seek out the best means for securing just that, finding just that. And it so happens that in our hands now, in the Great Treatise on the Stages of the Path to Enlightenment, we have the supreme method for ensuring just this. So then it is our onus alone then to put this into practice. It is our responsibility to do so. And when we in fact do so, then the very best conceivable outcome is the extraordinary outcome of Buddhahood achieved in this lifetime. But so too is liberation from cyclic existence generally a second possibility. And third too, securing relief from the suffering of the lower realms. We have now the method, the strength and potential to achieve just these ends. So make no mistake about that.
어쩌지? 근데 이들마다 대행 말하면서 때, 당고 토마 개체고 꿀롱들 이들마다 땅에 진중 다스랑다 랑 동해 메드바다 대화 되어봐. 이빨라 쟤는 신심제 탐제 동해 메드바 대화도 뒤치도라 아니다. 마심제 탐제 동해에 대버 차베 치도 아니 장주 남들이 말라마 탑면도 라바 지기 인사가 뭐 도마 꿀롱도 쥐어 개정시라 자대요. 그래서
Of first importance is the beginning. And in the beginning, we adjust our intention. And the intention follows from the recognition that we ourselves wish to avoid suffering, wish for relief from suffering. And we are no different from every other. So every other sentient being too wishes to avoid suffering, wishes for relief from suffering. So then, as they are mother sentient beings, we commit ourselves to relieving those mother sentient beings, all mother sentient beings, from their suffering. And to do so, I will now train in the Great Treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment.
뭐야다 꿀롱도 쥐어 차버려 꿀롱 쥐어 차도 다 선제 탐지기 정도 다 선제 탐지 동행을 껴버려 채 탑 열에 여 말에 껴 투그레 두고 말에 탑 가리 거래서 되게 저와 되게 냉이 터나다 아니 가르치고서 탑 열에 아니 탑도 가래서 장주구선 넣어 버려서 뭐지 장주구선 넣어 봐야 되래서 장주구선 넣어 버려 봐라 장주구선 랑이 줄에 깨버려 채 버려 맞겠네 탑도 용거 말해서 깨버려 채 봐라 아니 원도 저의 출투듯이 아니 냠내 고고여다 디제도 저의 출투시 고고여서
When the mind has been inclined thus, then mother sentient beings, all mother sentient beings, excluding none, may be relieved from their suffering. But what is the method and what is the means for finally relieving sentient beings of this suffering? What method is available to us? The method is the development, the very development of the mind of awakening, to train in the mind of awakening, bodhicitta. But in order for sentient beings to be relieved from their suffering through the mind of awakening, one must first produce that very mind in one's mind. Bodhicitta must develop in one's own mind. And so that this may happen, we engage in the preliminary practices, which are 6, for the purpose of developing the mind of awakening in our own minds.
자 근데 이게 저의 출투시 저의 출투고는 저 당보성이 아니 다 간다 장주고 쌤 줄라주면 자리 더더래 다네 저 시바 소신 세다바디 아니 다 말한도 아다르 람냠도 램바디 아니 베까지 마보면 레라보치는 랑 두고 여봐 라야기 치도다 아니 간데스랑 보고 있는 자진 되게 치도라 저주 시바디 우여레스 저주 시바다 소신 세대가 생기디 아니 다 간다 말한도 니세생이디 아니 렘보면 하장이 튼든 되진 않아네 다른 감도 봐 줄에 깨야다 내가 마부지 치보고 이리 되게 당화 치보고 이리 아니 되게 당화 치고라 다 개발제 소신 세다바디 매도 매로 차대요 대자면 소신 세다바 중 야구 중원이나 아니 또봐 로jal이야 이나야 로직을 깨토야다 로직을 깨야 이나 니직을 깨토야 요 차진 네바 요가 되는지 안 소신 세다바 세라 개침 부여래서
In these 6 preliminary practices, the first 3 are a sort of first preparation for the development of the mind of awakening. And then coming to the 4th, the petitioning of the merit field, here we have the instance of implementing the path in practice in such a way as to reduce the hardship, reduce the difficulty of producing the results of the path. The conditions presented by the merit field are such that they expedite the development of realization. This lifetime is a short time, it isn't long, and there's a tremendous amount of realization that may occur and must occur. All of this, all of the facets of the path must arise in the mind, and as they are so many, that process must be expedited by the best method of doing so, and that method is therefore indispensable. It is a method that will allow a person to develop the realization that might otherwise require 100 years, to develop that same realization in 1 year, or that which would require 1 year, to develop that same realization in 1 day. And so it is so important and so critical.
다 초신 셋업한테 가장 먼저 제시했으니 초신 나가를 셋업 열다 소신 나가를 제자를 열다 이들 제 장산에 다 가르쳐 보래서 다 저것들 말이고 다 초신 등이 나가를 유비 다 초신 나가를 유비 준센다 아니 랑기 묘백이 쩌나 아니 찾아 다 초신 삼지 거의 랑기 묘백 거 묘백이나 텔레 유바 요구고 요바다 저가 말에 도지 쉬 사버렸어. 제가 랑 초심 몇 번이나 랑 뒤에 젠탄 요바 인도 다 뒤에도 당고 가르쳐 오는다. 당고 추시고다. 추시고 같은 송고요. 제가 내지도로 다 저저 나가는 추시 강바시도 추시 뭐 세지 사시 세워. 이제 봐가 모두 유전라든 태버시 세다 다 추시 시기요. 그래서
So then the merit field is given form and visualized before us in space. The argument for why it's there, how one may visualize it, the invitation to animate it, so that insofar as one is able to visualize in an extensive way, the merit field is present everywhere and wherever it is visualized to be. And the arguments for the purpose of this visualization, we've wrapped up now. And so now we assume it is before us, the merit field. And what follows then is the bathing of the merit field. The bathing of the merit field in an exquisitely fragrant bathhouse with an inlaid floor of brightly shining crystal. There are dazzling columns that glitter with jewels and a festooned with shimmering pearls.
this is the 말하는 다 냠년 지난 뒤에 가서 말하는 때는 수수고 전부 개침부직 배리 쉬어야나 안 전부 당고 배로 지시 내차나니 제가 금바도 방지도 어디나 신천하니 냠년 제가 뭐 시기 열었어. 그래서 다 추제도 그래서 다 추간 계도 그래서 들어보면 더 추간 계에 대한 추간 길루들이야. 아니 추간다 다 초초신들이야. 이 혹시 망고 몇 번째는 망고 여봐이나 추간 망고 깨나야 지고 추간 망고 장가 망고 깨는 주제가 몇 번째는 지기요. 양초 시도도 추간 치치 되려나 주제가 되는 몇 번째는 지기요. 양 추간도 배 침보도 직지 디나는 강가 초신 강가 디나는 유인이 아니 주제가 가르치나야 지고 쓰래 소소 감도 몇 번단 지고를 해서
So this technique for practice resembles the actual receiving of an esteemed guest. First, the invitation is extended, then the esteemed guests arrive, and then the esteemed guests are given the very best treatment. And so involved in this is the visualization of the bathhouses, how they are to be produced, the technique for visualizing them. If one has arranged in their sensitive visualization a merit field of great multiplicity, then there may be any number of bathhouses in that merit field, and this would be appropriate. So too would be to produce 4 bathhouses, 1 in each direction, 1 in each of the 4 directions. Similarly, it would be sufficient to include all the individuals of the merit field under one roof of 1 bathhouse. Now, whichever suits you in your unique disposition and attitude is sufficient.
다 소소기 땡이진다 공부친구 유나 안 초가 망외제네 내우요 다 단단 내 담보이도 초가 찍게 되나는 통신 가능 수 대대신 취체가 있나 안 대대어 송요래 송
For those with well-developed familiarity in their samadhi. Many bathhouses is a strong technique, but for a person early in their practice to engage in the bathing of the merit field under one roof may be more feasible.
모두다 최신 찍었어. 번다 주간 배 첨부도 찍었어. 안디나가 조신 강가 수출해야 배고요. 삼당아이나 다다다 직결해야 되게 순바지 세지세 모두 잘라진 제바 테레스도 아니 그 강다 초고 신강가 배 지금 난간에 주주고 또 이배 자표라나지도 필요 주간나 배송선에 미과치고 해서
So then under one roof of one bathhouse, then one may visualize every individual, every person of the merit field arriving by magical flight, the flight of magical emanation, flying this way. They enter the bathhouse, and as this verse is recited, in an exquisitely fragrant bathhouse with an inlaid floor of brightly shining crystal, there are dazzling columns that glitter with jewels and a canopy festooned with shimmering pearls. With that, the shimmering pearls, the magical flight carrying these esteemed guests, draw them into the bathhouse, and there they are, and one may visualize them thus.
오예 다 주관나가 폐사들 아니 수수부터 나사베 개인다 가르치는 폐유만 되게 가 봤시 아니 주관나가 쇼 아니 주구나 주기 그게다 주기나네 아니 다 버게 주관나가 그 남선님 받아서 봤세 파샤 아니 가르쳐 버렸다 주보다는 주물래는 주적으로 해서
And as they arrive, then they shed their vestments and anything that they wear of ornaments and the rest. And this old garb is collected and put away. And then they are there to be bathed. And there are basins. One visualizes the basins of bathing water.
아니 남자들 개인다 잘라 가리네 디기디 봐 가서 다음에 중앙 첨부는 잘라셔서도 어디나 집파 술 봐야 고지 샤고 됐어 아니 디네 다 추치도 담바다 추치단들이야 다마 초가다 제에는 추치니도 가서 체별 한번 쭉 체별 한번 봐 주다니 체별 한번 숨 추리를 치된 다 추치대를 체별 한번 숨숨 줄고 다 아니 단마다 제면은 아니야 그러다 아주 초가 되게 노루기 초가 도이나 결혼숨 주이라니 초가 체들이 숨이었다. 근데 초가 되는 일이 주변나무 주고 주변나무 찍으라 맞도 주제 고박이 고변나 주저로 찍이 아니 찍이 다 거기 그래도 안 지금 나사 사바도 두개 두둑히네 주변나무 숨 추나 되게 추다 제제 감도 수나무 키워 누가 치고 해서
In the bathhouse, as the esteemed guests shed their vestments then, and anything else they may wear or carry with them, these things are collected up and put away. And if the practice of the visualization is in the secret mantrayana, then each person of the merit field is washed by 3 offering goddesses. 3 offering goddesses for each person of the merit field. This is how the visualization goes in the secret mantrayana. In the sutrayana, 3 monks there are to bathe each person of the merit field. Now here in the secret mantrayana, these 3 offering goddesses arrive to each person of the merit field, one carrying a basin filled with water to wash the person, one carrying towels to dry, and the third carrying fresh, clean vestments to redress the person. So there are these 3 offering goddesses.
오예 주변 나머지가 난간에 막 배운데 아니 지금 밥대 밥에 견제도 아니 지금 무책이 사실도 몰라서 받으려고 탱게다는 막 아니 막 밥에 아니 Chigi true to work in the trees. You chip me by your you chip me by the money, that's under the true to move and trees in the that you don't treat it to me by check and I call the show and I said that under sit down so she to forget over the Zawadi, Tani Yama, that's what you can have a ranchi, Sanji, and the Sanji put a kid there in do, and the Mataba Yama in a rang is simply number, and it's forget. Taya, rangi lady Taya, Chitola, and a tree chapel, tree to give my tree with one pound, and tree with treating it about around to rangi you can remove but having me was had told me what she had less was.
Now, as these offering goddesses go out into space to begin bathing the persons of the merit field, as they enter the bathhouse, they may descend to the various platforms by stairways of gold, silver, and other precious gems. And then they arrive, and we are visualizing the arrival of the offering goddesses to wash, dry, and dress these persons. And as I have described for you, the practice of visualizing the merit field and bathing the merit field does not assume that the persons of the merit field have any defilements at all, are soiled in the least. They are perfectly pure with the qualities of the Buddhas, but the practice of bathing them is to remove and purify all that soils and stains and defiles our minds. So we bathe the merit field, and this is to expiate, to extirpate all these mental afflictions in our minds.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Chibella Tambudigita, true, get true chetan and it, and true to get a tree, a purity, true mount to the round upon the but the rangit. That lay new leg to butter, new monk about Tabasin and some make it or Jejung and the Libache, and then to Chibella Tambu never sat. Then you but dig it, Charles Caricos, not Tarkia, Ajo dinner target. And target put chivo, but she did among other China, and sing around to use the wood tree and chew, and I didn't matter. But she did a man so good name. Those chivores, so when they are chatting, and it not Ram Shi, As, Nayos, Sanji, your ringers, Avamayo, big transition is wood, chew chick, the body chick, and it pumba in a chick, and it tell the chicks into not chan, and it. Then very well. Chukanga did not name out about him and cheese on some of the big watch of his was.
Ram Shi A Ram Shi A. Then they were down and Sunday Dayan. Sunday less. Jimba.
Who got
that? The name they were less.
You're not the second name.
The first offering goddess carries a basin of water to wash the persons of the merit field. And this is the first offering to each of these persons of the merit field. They are washed in an offering. And as that water washes the person of the merit field and comes off of them again, the blessing is the elimination and cleansing of the mind's karmas and mental afflictions. And with the thorough cleansing of the karmas and klesha, great bliss arises through the offering. And then with that arising of great bliss, the work of that first offering goddess is complete. And then the second begins her offering to rub dry the person. And we carry with ourselves towels. After we bathe, we dry with towels. But here, the fabric is silk. And the way we rub down, the way the goddess rubs down the person is not the way in which we rub ourselves dry with the towel. but rather there are 5 places on the person to be dried. They correspond with these 5 syllables of the 5 lords of the family. They are Om, Hum, Tam, Shri, Ha. Om is at the crown, Hum is at the throat, Tam is one at each shoulder, and Shri at the navel. These are the 5 places, locations of the 5 lords of the family.
Oh, yeah, that's a well, I'm in cheating, some much and that's a that's a well, I'm somebody. And the carpet was that Nasa the gain as the prayer to restaurant, don't matter, other game at the Chuba. Down to get out of the bar and it's a bullet that the tissue to check it out. What did I see? There's a Sanjela. And then that you walk your teacher will start saying, don't soon to deal with it. 들어가서 인식시도 얼른 동송구도 정했다고 하는데 지저는 비동은 세장 담았잖아. 자 봐왔다고 주버 기스도와 어디게 다스 꿀로 주버 표하게 아니 자와 되지 아니 주버 표고 여래서 살 농산 또 농산 가야 돼. 어디? 그래서 동송군도 정했다고 하지.
동바상기 남라 쿠츠서 요바담 띠오 알레 젬바 긴든 남라 쿠츠서 알레
동송군도 동송군도 정했다고 하지. 제조는 동원은 세장사마다 여자 바와들어 주고지. 네가 와도
알레 가르요스는
우주서 대화를
그렇죠. 알레 동순군 알레
어디 지금 네 바로 지금 하고 있어. 이 주스나 주스 왕 주스 지나 다 뒤살아. 나 동순군도 주고 배.
야. As the 5 places are patted down in this way, ignorance in the mind is eliminated thoroughly. And then the work of this 2nd offering goddess is complete. Then the work of the 3rd offering goddess to again redress, first rubbing perfumed ointment on the body of the person begins. And as this begins, there are in these verses, preliminary practice, a necklace for the fortune. There are verses in between, the verses for bathing the merit field. But as we begin to dress again, to rub perfumed lotion upon the person, the verse here to recite is with the finest perfumes that fill all the 1,000 worlds, I anoint these lords of sages, whose radiant bodies are like shining gold that has been fired, furnished, and washed.
남자다 개표고 다디 어디 지금 산자야 발가이고 미제도 있고는 미제대별은 다져도 있고 소소서네 다 나사다 개표고 했다 그래서기 거기 유디 동바이가 소다리 동바이도 별롱이나 아니 남자들 다 죽어 남수 표고 와 죽어 이제 남자들 다져도 표고 다 그래서 표자들이 아니 봐줘야 다 하나 소고 별롱 많이 봐이나 아니 개인다 남사다 표야서 어디 표고 해서 맞지 개인자 마고 다 요래 아니 도로다 다 많이 비차고 여러 어디게 표고 해서
After the bodies of the persons have been anointed this way, then they are dressed again in their respective wardrobes. And this verse is recited.
Naturally adorned with the major and minor marks, the conquerors seek no other form of adornment. Still, by offering them the finest of jewel ornaments, may all beings attain bodies adorned with major and minor marks. As these persons are dressed, they are dressed in their respective wardrobe, for a bhikshu would wear the 3 dharma robes. But then the heavenly beings who are not bhikshus will be dressed differently in jewels and in their special silken garments. So they are dressed in this way. When they are redressed, then comes an invitation for each to return to their previous seats. The verse, "In your compassion for me and all beings, and through your miraculous powers, O Bhagavan, please remain present here as long as I continue to worship you." So here, the offering of vestments complete, each is invited to return to where they have been formerly seated. The persons leave, vacating the bathhouse. Remaining in the bathhouse are all the worn robes, the jewels, all that they wore, that they shed before they bathed. These are all collected then and given to beings of the 6 realms in liberal generosity. Now, in this visualization, we have cause for for collecting and redistributing the robes and the jewelry and the rest. Because at the time of the birth of the Buddha, implements and that which was involved in that special birth were prized by Indra and by Brahma, seen as so auspicious. And to ever remember the birth of the Buddha, they were carried away with these, with Indra and Brahma. They carried them away as remembrance of the occasion. And then again, too, when the Buddha ordained, then too, as his hair was cut, his former clothing and his hair, prized by Brahma and Indra, were again carried off by Brahma and Indra as remembrances of this occasion too. So we have this event, which is to not merely discard the robes and the jewels and the rest, but to redistribute them for the benefit of sentient beings, so that their pains and discontents may be alleviated. With the robes and jewels and the rest collected and redistributed to the beings of the six realms, only the bathing water remains in the bathhouse. And these one visualizes running off through channels into the six directions of the six realms beings, where they're flowing as nectar, they drain into those realms beings and eliminate and alleviate the pain and suffering for six realms beings.
Oh yeah, that is the number the chubi imbala and draw it to long chidu, to come deba long chair quarters, said I do tag long chidu, dizzy number, dizzy no long chair. Hamayi, all Hamayi, young number, until the Kariku was not, until the mark, joke 2 years, Koja Korwa, Koja number 10 Tobache. Oh, it's a meaty and it Yoba Chamber has military Hazan Yoba Chamber is another deal is the Guayamata. Same jeans to wash a dark and all the thumb, the Togo thumb sum Yorotina and Toto, Koyuna Tigota, military on a thumb go with the pet Yoba Chamber. Yoba Chamber is Suzuka, Karik Yoba Yobatilla, number mix here. But in a Brula, any sure to Namjik share about sure to Namjik share a gag. Nobody saw this. And Idala, donate so Jacome, the Jacome Shiva chair to the table over number of words. And then Yola taught Sanye that Chinese or Sanyela Town, and forget Doa Yoada. Town, sorry, Town Yoada. Tower, Town Yoga, number 10, and the Corsus part Jimbai, Mibache, Thomas, never so to a Mibache of so much having Mibache of
Water, the bathing water remains in the bathhouse. It appears to be water, but as it flows through the channels to the six realms, each as it is consumed in each realm, that water takes the form, whatever the form the consuming being requires. So for heavenly beings,
The water runs from the bathhouse, and as they consume it as nectar. And for the Asura, the water runs through channels into this realm, and what they most require in their perpetual conflict is armor. And so they don the armor, the water running from the bathhouse. And as the water runs from the bathhouse into the human realm, humans are very desirous. They desire food, clothing, but most of all, they are desirous of approval and recognition. Whatever approval and recognition they require, they receive through this water that runs. And animals require most of all an endowment, biological endowment of discriminating wisdom. So one visualizes the water transformed into discriminating wisdom for animals. And the Preta experience most of all hunger and thirst. And so their hunger and thirst is quenched. And the hell beings experience extremes of heat and cold. In the extremes of heat, the water provides the feeling of coolness. In the extreme of cold, the feeling of warmth. And so in this way, the waters flow from the bathhouse and are consumed by each. 아니 징삼디 두어디 아니 멜롱라 아니 추수 얘네들 징삼데라
다 징삼데라 맞아 다 배나도 비디오 다 단단하시 다 지고 먹어서 아니 다 강가 소신 강가 찍나 강바도 내도 찍나 아니 철라도 되는 망고바 쭉 먹어서 아니 수수 별로 주가 좀 모두 강가 찍기도 강가 찍 제조로 어디 집어지 이것도 소신 가수이나 를 망고 쭉 말아 근데 야채도 쭉 먹었지 주변으로 좀랑 쭉 네가 냠도 먹어지 버지 다디 두고 치료 아니 멜론한테 아니 멜론을 주시 강가 멜론을 주디 이렇게 버지 아니 멜론도 주지 어디 지금 그래서
다른 멜론데 이모네 멜론 이모라 아니 소신이 아니 디티테네로 소신데 나시 디티테네
어디라 되어서 딱고는 좀 시작을 와 어디라 주시 버지 어디 지금 버지 그래서
Now, all involved in the visualization of the merit field and then bathing the merit field in this first presentation has been presented in its most extensive, multifarious arrangement, the washing and all the rest. So this is the extensive version. There are shorter versions, more condensed versions. Now, in the middle condensed version, one bathhouse, all the persons of the merit field, but as every person of the merit field contains another merit field, it is a very vast visualization. But here in the middle length visualization, 3 offering goddesses wash, bathe the merit field one time, and all the many innumerable merit fields are not visualized. This happens one time, and this is a middle length visualization. Now, for the most condensed visualization, what we practice in a house consecration or any of the ritual practices in requiring a condensed bathing of the merit field. A mirror is taken and adjusted to reflect the merit field in the mirror itself, and then the mirror is bathed. So the merit field is there reflecting in the mirror and is bathed as one sprinkles water on the mirror.
뭐에 어떻게 찾아 찾으나니 두가디 두가디 봐 주셔 두가디 주뒤 아니 다주 주지를 주 팀바 생기티를 깨 되어라 되게 좋아하는 생기티 어디를 봐 띵고래서
And then this merit field is dissolved again into the throne, the lion throne. As it emerged first from the lion throne, it is withdrawn again into the lion throne.
어예 주지 주 어디 주는 생기티를 팀 아니 동보가 매버스 동반이 주송 삼바티 태모라
The merit field, having been bathed, turns into luminosity. That luminosity dissolves into the lion throne, and that which was the merit field has turned to emptiness.
어이 다 생기티 때가 수차다 뭔가 수수 티네는 코차다 코차는다 내가 가르쳐 보내서 다 수수 드렌디 나라에 강가체 치료 라바 강바 강가 투차다 데리기 거기 때 대사강을 대기로 다 대사에서 봤다 차 내가 당부도 가서는 다 차차야 돼요 소것이다.
다니 소신디 차장데 안에 생기치라 템서로 야면 어디
말은 투강
저거 건다. It's the bathhouse that the bathhouse turns to light. The bathhouse dissolves the bathhouse, and the bathhouse dissolves into the lion throne. Remaining is the merit field. 투강 말해. 투강. 맞대 아니 어스 gör네. 근데 아니 생기 아니 티 then social tagram
소신 사들 수비가 수수네 대여로 내가 거기다 다 거기다 다 맞아 뒤에 가르쳐서 다 양발도 받쳐 가서 다디 가르치고 다 뒤에 막 가르치고 그러면 다 맞아 좋아 시바의 차 하고 다 이제 거기다가 조지 두고 나는 시바탄 다 마바도 갈래 다 마바도 소사 되잖아 상치고라고 소사 되바 찬스 다 소사 되바 찬다 또 주바데 가래 야라 주바데 쳐고레스 나 야라 주바데 쳐지 야라 주고는 당보됐다 아니 차 세워 들어와다 차 세워게 병이 시작을 해서
The bathing of the merit field complete, the bathhouse itself turns to light, the light dissolves into the lion throne, the merit field remains. This completes the fourth branch, the petitioning of the merit field. And what remains then, what follows then is the fifth preliminary rite, which is the accumulation of merit and the removal of the obscurations. The supreme method for the accumulation of merit and removal of obscurations is the Anuttara Puja, the 7-branch offering, which begins with prostration.
어야 땅아도 대긴 소신 세트업 전에 가르쳐 땅아도 정규생 계획 수행으로도 무슨 딱 뛰다고 수행 잘했어. 정규생 바다비야 수행저와 다 네가 라고 다 잘했어. 다 수행이 지금原来 평균 말 수행이 그 공부체 파되어와. 다 수행되는 랭거네. 랭거 저도 아니 주다 루트 거와. 어야 다 뒤쳐도 가르쳐 버렸으나 아니 야라든 양도 잘 거래서 뭐지. 이 안에 스탠디 슈다 랜드 체스는 아니 계기로 와. 어디서든 양라도 받은 거래요, 손으로.
The fourth preliminary rite, the petitioning of the merit field, has occurred. The merit field is present. The merit field is present as a seed now planted. The ready seed for the mind of enlightenment is present. It's, as it were, now firmly in hand. But it is just now a dry seed, and any seed requires moistening and nutriment and warmth. And so now, through the 7-branch offering, we provide that moistening and the fertilizing and the warmth.
Oh, yeah, that in an yala do your yala do good in your body. Oh, chick ma sound, the richena. I didn't conduct some use in Julia that you'll do the data to 2 months. Yala do got Chata, what sounds enough. I mean, that using Julia, pay you, couldn't so when you're using never to get to you, you get to you, you'll draw. Yala do good, some which water as much.
Of the 7 branches of the Anuttara Puja, these 7 branches of offering, when some are present, but not all 7 branches, this leaves incomplete all the causes for producing the mind of enlightenment. But where every one of the 7 branches is present, then you have the very best conceivable cause for the emergence of the mind of enlightenment. It is a definite cause then, where the 7 branches are present, definite, sure, ready cause for the mind of enlightenment.
Oh, yeah, but now the two go with Jalachina, or two go to Pejutan to a Chevala, Yala, the Sango, no Sango, Ching Masana, or Pejutan Matu, a Seva, Dinashi, Yala, Dumbo Chata Matana, any cultures, any forget that, Chanju, when you are like Gula, Rotuel, cover your response.
Now, just as in a geared machine with cogs, you must have every gear and cog turning in its place. If one is missing, then the machine does not operate. So here, the 7 branches, when all are present, run.
Oh, yeah, that thing was the Yala do the Mondo Yala do the Zangaranto, Jimmy called Yala do the Mondo to the summer mother, the Mushiko to Mugo at the sometime, your Maris, Mushiko to Layan, Yala to the Shira, Ketchumbo, but it, any mother, Doniga, best Manguson, your restaurant.
Is any mondo any mare the moshi rang
Mondo Yamina Churwa,
Hello.
in I am Mushiko, the call Mare, Mushiko to Yamicha, Maris, something, you call it Pasha, your Maris. Mushiko to Lay, Yala to the Shira, Ketchumbo, your rest. The Ibatima, Doniga, Yamina, Yala to the package, but see what else.
The Anuttara Puja, the 7 branches, are a preliminary practice. They are also the very actual instance of practice. So to think of them merely as a preliminary practice and to disregard them as part of the actual practice, the event of practice itself, is a mistake. In the Mantrayana and the Sutrayana, both, the Anuttara Puja is part of the actual instance of practice as well as a preliminary practice.
What is it? I mean, Mom, go to let the young get you some more that. Because I do not dust, you know, Mom goes to that getting because of that. Yeah, getting with Yamichi. I mean, Yala do it, but Yala do it. Yamichi that message in the end of the most that's much.
Especially and moreover, in the Mantrayana, the Anuttara Yoga, Anuttara Puja, is critical. It is brought into the generation stage practices. A special form, a special version of the Anuttara Puja, the 7-branch offering, is involved in the generation stage.
When a Jeremy Chacha, Jeremy that Lomi person, and a bed, Shuji Kandar, Kaba Saint Chazan Sheta, and it does, but usually church. That's Sunyama, the Mary to the little Tambayang, and it that Tamatella, and young Sarjant, man, to give me a scene. And the Korangi, the road troop to you, and so best Sarjant, so bad road troops. And Sarjant never pay, and pay, and it over to a duty. Any German Nandana, you save your restaurant.
We take Jezong Kappa as the exemplar of the importance of the accumulation of merit and the elimination of obscuration as a deliberate, intentional practice. Tsongkhapa, at the time he chose to sequester himself away and focus entirely on the practice of accumulation and purification, was already by that time a person of great stature, an accomplished scholar, one who had brought to completion so much of the trainings to the point where he had teaching before him. He had instruction to disciples as his responsibility. Nevertheless, for 6 years, sequestered away, he dedicated himself to the accumulation and purification practices, and then realizations were made known to him.
다 사체불로 탑 사교. 본인 무슨도 또 사니게 뭐 자주 삼바 첨부도 두고 있나요? 아니 사장 내디 또 지기 어레스. 사탐불로 내 얘기 자주 삼바 주고 아니 류 야타만 뭐 주는 상계로 쳐봐 차세 쳐봐 어디되게 아니 다 사탐부 이게 것들로 마음 숨을 해서
The bodhisattvas with direct insight to emptiness themselves then engage especially in accumulation and purification. Those who have mounted the first bodhisattva bhumi then emanate themselves, thousands of emanations then make offerings and prostrate. They then, in this way, through accumulation and purification, achieve the extraordinary qualities of the first bodhisattva bhumi.
내 산이반이야 근데 싸게 대시어도 아니 소사 대장 싸마 예바도 아니 라그 류 뚜바만 고트는 쳐바피야 차세야 그랬다 연대 싸게 연대 고마고마를 망고 송여를 세상 근데 이제 다 동이 무슨도 또네 사 통보를 내타나요 양라도 개첨부 찍고 이유나 아니 먼저 단다 내 담보다 대장이 개쳐 임바 이 시에보고를 배 예바도 개첨부 찍고 해서
Then those bodhisattvas who mount the second bodhisattva bhumi, a bhumi with extraordinary qualities, are committed then to continue the practice of accumulation and purification until the achievement of complete and perfect enlightenment. And so they too emanate themselves countless times over, making offerings and prostrating. And in this way, those bodhisattvas with insight to emptiness, nevertheless and especially continue their practice of accumulation and purification. And when it is an indispensable practice for the bodhisattvas with wisdom emptiness, then it is all the more so essential to us as we are novices in our treading of the path.
다 차들라 다 나로 루마 예수가 차 나라도 차 세야 되라 루마 예수가 차 숨여래서
Prostration is physical, verbal, and mental.
다 진짜 다 모두 그는 산다 장주를 너는 차샤와이나 그래서 그 조선에 이제 진이순도 추주지대나 두순시바 미 생기고 다가 말로 다다 류다 마이 다음에 차지 오스다 루마 예수 투모가 차세도 땡기가 해서
Lamrim Chenmo gyula chazalo digi ganga ho.
아
Da dilalabiyo. Ani kyabsum kundu lama dorje cha.
어디디 조르지고 차차다
Ala ganga ganga sin de. Chodan demo ru dimaro.
이 조르지고 차차도 인생이 제일 뜻이야 그런 거니 네 와드렸다
요.
이제 가다 야마도 무슨 마마고야 말다
Ala.
야마도 무슨
진진 사이에 쪼고데라 자자라 되게요.
어저 저게 저더라 차도 마스터
마스터 투지진보 냠민지가
되죠 가지고
정도 톰에 얘기 나로데 쇼데드르드니 요.
더 마스터 요와도
이담 하소 남나자.
더 마스터
알레.
찾아요 같은데 요
군중 문베 사ben
더 마스터
这个
우리는 산지를 지을 자체. 이 저쪽 자체대로 그 제일 드시죠. 어디 어디
두식 되는 능력
어디 가는데
알레 파파 정도
어디,
저도 저도 알레 지니스의 주주 지대나 네
어디 하나도 뭐
나
지니스도 주 방법 측시도
로 지니스의 저네
제대나
두심시
네 나고 들어 리더만 가서 어디 용화에서 품어 찾아 와 지금
Drawn from the King of Aspiration prayers are these verses that are a description of prostration that is physical, verbal, and mental. I make prostrations to Arya Manjushri in his princely manifestations. However many there are in the world 10 directions, those lions of men that course through the 3 times, to all of them, excluding none, with pure body, speech, and mind, I prostrate.
일단 용화 예수권을 찾아 제야 돼. 어디 제일 쓰다 유지권을 찾아와 그래서 뭐 주주의 시 태모자는 그거 채워도 태모자와 다소반은 루이지 살 루파바도 누가가 루이지 차 아지 차대 아니 저다 단계도 제주 선보다랑 되베기 지금 뭐도야 뭐다 되바당도 내만 고치에 지금 걸 와. 이제 나가 지세 이지권에다 저 대바도 당하기야도 이지권을 잘 해서
Here then are prostration and homage performed physically. The expression of this is the hands folded in prayer and to stoop over in respectful humility. Through speech, the verses of praise, descriptions of the extraordinary qualities of the Buddhas, those uttered, those verses of praise, are the spoken, verbal prostration and homage. And the mental prostration and homage is faith. Faith that is clear.
나 차. 당도 차 제대로 나와니 태모자. 아니 곧 지우를 제대로 잡아. 아니 말아서 마음과 산계네. 산계가 제바때 우리 쪽도 주베 하자샤 집제. 나 태모 미삼체도 저지. 아니 제가 마음보다 아니 최는 내로 모습도 동번이 떠야 돼. 아니 싫어 비시 줄을 제베시. 싫어 동번이 싫어. 아니 둘을 자도 산계가 투주베. dembar je sung ju be bo de chi do ba ja sha chi do la ani lang de lu do de cha la ba ni ku ni tam ja ne lu ji den ba ku ba de chen cha ce ge de ga ga mo bo la san ji ku ju de o ne ba zo sha ba chi chi ge ga de so ji.
In the physical expression of prostration and homage, when the hands are placed at the crown of the head, this creates the cause that will result in the Buddha's body with its Ushnisha, crown protrusion. To place the hands here then is the unique cause, especially for this crown protrusion, when the body of the Buddha is achieved. The hands folded and placed at the eyebrow level is for cause of a result in the Buddha body, that is the wisdom of suchness, of emptiness as it is. It is that wisdom, and this gesture is cause, establishes the cause that will result in that very wisdom. The hands folded at the throat is the cause for achievement of the speech of the Buddha, and at the heart, cause for the achievement of the very mind of the Buddha. So these are the expressions of physical homage and prostration. Now there remains a bit more to describe of the benefits of homage, we'll have to resume their description next week. We have a little left over yet. So now we will wrap up and engage in our Q&A, which is useful for clarifying anything that remains unclear. So we have this time to use in that way now. Yeah. Okay, so let's hear it. If you've got a question, ask. Now we have a new student with a question.
Yes, I have two questions. The first, can you repeat again the second goddess was drawing symbols and the location? And then the second question is our Anatara puja. Is it true that the entire puja is actually collapsed within the 7-limb prayer? Or I did hear, yes, that's the question.
That's what I want to know. Tani chube harmony badi ani chele ani chi dartaya chi dero ya. Dene ani ne nga yo badi ne nga yangyar ani tanka gyaruchi dene ani karisa ani yikru yalla yikru nga yoro yikru nga dang ani ne nga di yangyar chi sorochi.
That's all Joel Sanya number Nanzeki.
Dear,
Joel Sanya number Nanzeki. Yes, a net, Ella Yigi Omir. Dine Mayon. Tuga, the butter Tuga Borutella, Sanji Diorda, and Jijun Diorwa. You do the way you get the Humor on your house. That in it, Umbayel. The Bame and Party Della Tom. You're not free.
Tom,
Free the Bame. And Adi other two years here. The home is a song.
low,
Nanang said.
low,
Wounded in Juju.
low.
Yeah, that didn't Adi, they all are your
Stay away.
that they all are your Adi, turn to us.
Listen.
Then, yeah, you're not free your
Ye the you listen. Ye the
you're
look.
Obama.
Ale.
Obama. And Carlos there.
Didn't any yeba.
Yeah, but saying the Ghana colors, Namnaji, in Junji. Obama turn to us in colors.
Number 9 and what is Mikyo?
We give
Mikyo.
jumped, yeah, all the course.
Yeah.
Or
The R. She the apartment and a Mikyoba. Yigi.
we give it there, Il Pumba Yelly, but
Love the Yigi.
jump,
That's it.
Obama, number units.
No,
And I didn't turn to what's it.
no.
There are about some material.
No, that's it. At the between crown and eyebrows at this forehead area, this Vairochana, syllable Om. Between there and the throat, Ratna Sambhava, Hum, Yigi Hum. Then left shoulder, syllable Shri. Tram. Control some money. Left shoulder, Shri Amitayas. But Amitabha. Right, Akshobhya, syllable Cham. Navel, Amoghasiddhi. That any Chivanib did it. Any Yana, any Dundi. But I chitan the Narangi cake your chetan got chetan. The Anutari and the Puja and the 7 branch offering are synonymous, they're the same thing.
Yes.
So your question?
Oh, the question was, is it true that within the seven branch, that actually includes all of the elements of a full sadhana or puja
Alelasa.
collapsed?
Lo,
Or preliminary
lots of the
or full.
Yinla Gundi,
Mm.
and the Drup ki cha, Sama Dusa, right?
다 한다 뒤로 차들 생활 누구디
No.
한다다 양아 뒤에 창을 권네 아니 가르쳐 버리나 다디 전주심 길에 기야가 규차단 상황 차기요.
Yes, in fact, where all branches of the seven branch offering, this Anatara Yoga, are present, then you have all of the causes for the development of the mind of enlightenment. So, yes. Looks like Sujata.
Thank you, Gisela. I have two questions. One is about you said the bathhouses return to the lion throne, so they turn to light and then dissolve into the lion throne. I was only visualizing one lion throne for the central figure, the Guru Buddha Shakyamuni. Does each deity sit on a separate lion throne such that if you are visualizing separate bathhouses for each of the deities, that it goes into their individual lion throne, or do all the bathhouses go to a singular lion throne, which is for the Guru Buddha Shakyamuni Tsongkhapa? And then that's one of my questions. And then the second question was around, in thinking about the water running in the six directions to the realms, I was noticing in myself some feeling that, just speaking for myself, this constant desire for approval and recognition actually feels like a poison or something. So I'm trying to understand when I'm thinking about the kindness of the water, meeting that need in this lifetime. It feels like, we talk about like trying to quench the thirst for these things as being like salt water, like it's unquenchable. And so I was having some difficulty in understanding the kindness of that water meeting an earthly need that actually feels like a problematic need for me. So Geshe-la could describe a little bit more about that process of that water meeting those sort of temporal needs, or I think it was flawed needs. Thank you.
Now, any chiwa ni yo bache. Na dire dangbo dire ani singi kiti ani yorwa. Ta ani tine nge me bache dandela ya. Ani ti karisa ani karisa ani soso ani karisa lama tsowa ani kila shache ti ani singi chi tengdo ani shoot sha yorwa. Ina singchi chik mato mebarbe yamena ani gangsa rere la ani singchi rere ani yorbe. Tadene ani chukang di rosu gyurne ani singchi su tembadi singchi chik la tem yongrebe yamena ani ta gangsa rere la ani singchi rere yoba la tem yongrebe. Dit gaat dan wat er
수수 바땡이 지금 당고 봐 주디 이거 지도 주디 좀 봐. 망고 주리나. 주디 좀 팀바시 이거 제로 제스. 주디 좀 봐야 망고 주면은 주디 좀 망고 돼야 말라. 어디데 삼도. 다디 주디디 다행아도 잘 개발된 게 시디 우리 망고 삼 땅 열었어. 주디 망고 가서 소신을 주디를 삼 땅 열었어. 세상 뒤뒤 아니 우리 마음 삼다요. 뒤뒤 좀 간다 하게 주간 되게 돼. 거기 또 샤샤나 수수 미고 전력이 왔어. 뒤 만해야 지도 수 템사데 치도 팀바이나 아니 미고 지 되어요. 이래서
No.
좀
If in your visualization there you've chosen to visualize multiple lions' thrones for each individual as you are able to engage in the extensive visualization. Then the bathhouse that you, if you have chosen to visualize for each, should be dissolved into each of these lion thrones. If you have visualized in this extensive way, then withdraw the bathhouses into each of the lion thrones that you have visualized. If you have chosen a more limited visualization with one lion throne, and you have one bathhouse, then withdraw, dissolve the bathhouse into that lion throne. What is important is that you don't leave the bathhouse standing and interfering with the practice of that follows. So it must be dissolved into whether one or many of the lion's thrones. Then any caught me with the chudi and chu hadero. Then any chudi and jimbatang suyro. Tani any crescendo and rick trukla and regila and tanya yorwa.
Oh, yeah.
Or the migi cresani meetings of me. Denzola and tam dongam tam any durbadi duksha reo. Inayang any chudigi and Suzuki tam ki dongam and chimbo cellular tam tobe number than the mubachegura. Tam shiva labna and Suzuki and durbadi dropa yamina and durbadi mebazoya. Did it guys in the congi and tam dobadi tamki dobadi dukjare and dogre. Jezani mi re and Suzuki karig and dobadi dropadi and dog tens of Peliagi gear rabachagi.
Chudi penang nyawal sashana 사회 인을 그 사우 니마다 되게 그걸 남아샤니 아니 그 장을 이제 세워 제로 다 디나시 장을 이제 이해돌아 아니 거기 좀 사회 이제 이해돌아 아 장을 이제 영화들 제로 이달 또 디나시 다 먼저 밀어 가리었어 심지 현달은 먼저 하상 몇 친구 여러 그래서 다 몇 친구도 몇 친구들 봐 시야기 뉴질을 줄이야 몇 친구 그래서 딱 아들 여바 첨불라야 돼. 가르쳐 또다 주디 땀들다. 땀디 병아들다. 땀디 빵 카쇼라고. 이제다 니가 누가 시에 답시다. 유지 주디 막 땀디 막 쉬어체 누가 시에로. 맞아야 땀 그러야 배에 깨져마다. 땀디 유지 주디랑 더베지라 텀냐니 미기 배 땀이 전에 배 땀디 시카고 해서 유지 그거 시와만 추 추이 뭐 다바체 누가 시에서
In the hell realms, where the experience is of extreme heat and extreme cold, to convey the alleviation of the pain of extreme heat, warmth is provided to those, rather, extreme heat, coolness is provided to those experiencing the pain of extreme heat. And those experiencing the extreme of cold are provided with warmth to show to convey the alleviation of the pain of those extremes in temperature. Now for human beings, what sets them apart especially is their desirousness, their greediness. And most insatiable of all is the desire for recognition. And so that desire for recognition be alleviated, it's as it were that recognition were had. But it isn't that in fact we want to increase or intensify that desire for recognition, but instead we imagine the water transformed to a nectar that brings an end to that desire for that recognition.
샘제도 있는다 꼭 고마차 좀 저거 자스는 지고 당가서 밀 마차네 지고 말을 저거 자네 지고 말다 이거 땀쓰기 돼. 자정도 똥똥좀 봄봄 좀 치사야 가서 좀 되바 가야 매와 있는 미디를 되바 치슈 나데 배제나가 되바 치슈 미지 지네 아니 어떻게 냠네 치아 뭐 송요래서
When a hungry animal eats, they eat their fill, then they're satiated. There's no such satiation for human beings in their need for recognition. This is insatiable. And so it's insatiable where they have an instance of recognition, they need 100. Where they have 100, they need 100,000. Where they have 100,000, they need 100 million. And it is insatiable. And in the Mantrayana, often this insatiability of humans especially is described.
당가서 미기 누이들 랑체니 냠네 제나야 할래야 첨부 잠불링 시디 소토야 밀 지금 소소 대화 차단 두토야 미기 지투그랬어 야 야고 마셔 있는 디바야 미기 차사기 요랬어 사고 이제 또도 대화 친구 이제 디기 전에 망아서 돼서
When one takes up one's human body, and at hand then are all the means and practices for pacifying the various calamities known in the world and all the sufferings experienced in the world. At hand are in the body all one needs for this, for bringing peace to the world, for bringing contentment to all. Yet where avarice, rather, where desirousness, insatiable greed prevails, what happens instead is that one continues to accumulate endless non-virtues. Any other questions?
Yeah, you need to do
Okay.
I have a, may I ask a question? Okay, I have a curious question, I have three main deities, Yamadaka, Urasamada, and Chakasava, and actually Yamadaka is the main deity. Everybody knows that he's Yamadaka is manifestation of Yamadaka, everybody knows that. I saw the, Yamadaka's tanka in this wall for many years. And recently, I thought it is reached to the Mahakala room, and we put the Urasamada tanka on this wall right now. So, may I know what the reason, right now we also invited the 4 statues from India. One of them is solitary Yamadaka there. Why Yamadaka is put into the protector to do that?
Oh yeah, me chiwa this yam sambo dendre rabo inro. Dire that's it ne jison kabe ki hidam so sum ane yamne nambro ta dine ne shinji che chikche dine ne sango duba chikche dine ne demshok chikche sum so dire yenen di sumgi nane so di ane shinji che ro odi jesam ane ngomane di shinji che ane tangkadi dila ane shamyore ra di sokang dila ane shamyore yenaya ye di pagi gongkangla di par ani tenjin shutsarwa de ani tangkadi ani par ani shamdwa garichine ani gongkangla par pögre ra chikche ta dene ani yapkyang de ani shinjiche yapkyang ki kunra tenjin shuburwa gongkangla ani pepsarwa ta ani di kunra de garichine ani gongkangla ani shamde yore
that's Jeremy saying, also, the Jisum Yamlen Goy, the Karsana Anzo, Yamne Chiaki, Yamne Chidu, and Yamne Wondro with Yamne Putawa Chido, Shinji, and the Nangres, 냠내 무엇이디 나한테 받아야지. 냠내 그러니까 본드 냠내 그 누가 친구 꼭 친구 영화다. 아니 대쇼 냠내나 숨나 뭐 냠내 그 배운 전도 좋아해 식송.
That's that the any Tobiala and the Shinsira.
원도 냠내 원도 냠내.
Mondo, la.
원도 신지시 무시 상황도 봐. 본드 대쇼스. 어떻게 냠내나 이거 식송.
Jason Kaba and the three deities principally practiced in this way, that Yamantaka was practiced in a preliminary practice. Huya Samaja was the actual practice, and Chakra Samvara was the reinforcement. So each had its role of a preliminary, the actual, and then the reinforcing practice.
일단 뭐고요. 그냥 대숨 조난 거야지. 맞아. 나라 유모 남도 규백이. 아니 유모 남주기 냐면 좀 지고 이거 인자. 아니 상대 지금 유모 가다 유모를 임무를 전 임무 받점 좀 계약을 하게 남바 샤를. 그냥 숨이자 어디지는 숨도 조나 해서.
Now, of many tutelary deities, these three were practiced in particular in the secret Mantrayana by Tsongkhapa as respective overcoming antidote for its respective poison of the three poisons of the principal three mental afflictions, to bring them to the path. These three deities were practiced, each with its respective mental affliction that it brings to the path.
다 저러면서 주주 냠랭이 남주 잠바 아니 치기 남발을 이 담소 직진 남기 요바디 수비어디 가르스나 뒤닝만 아주 뒤 두자라 아니 치기 지보교배 신지 갑자기 신지가 많아서 매기 더블릭 신지 소주의 저도 신지 차고 딜을 숨겨배 지도라 아니 신지식이 냠내도 저 세다 대마 냠내지하고 벌지 모여 숨에 지도라 아니 지지기 거기 답답해 아니 치를 또 나야 돼 아니 우리 이치를 그래서
That chiwa Quran chomyala.
치워진다
Ordinarily, Tsongkhapa in outward appearance appears in practice of Yamantaka, because especially during the Kali Yuga, the declined era, death is interference, is hindrance to practice, and to overcome and annihilate death itself that interferes, Yamantaka is employed.
예, 다시네 저 순바들에서 저랑 이 직지디 대마샤지 파샤 가르치가 세드레스.
Well, so the third part of your question was why invited into the protectorate room? And
띠타마도 최소 보스가 아니 그런 준비 가위는 띵한테 지워레스.
This-
그런 게 싸움을 템버를 지워레스.
now this is in conformity with the intention of the director of the Gito Foundation. Whatever he wishes, we see to it.
아니 지난번에도 어떤도 지났어. 아니 디버친보다 나기 냠내 지인 쪽에 있어. 아니 가르치는 것도 나가나 셔도 좀 또디 어제 나가나 셔도와 또 셔도 아마 구시티를 셔그레스. 예, 지난 좀 나가나 디버친보게 나가나 좀 많잖아. 나기 냠내다 디버친보 주요와 오늘 지난 소단데라 라마샤우. MJ 시골. 어서 이나야 그 상황 좀 통화식도 이 농백이 유주도 뜸벌 유미가 말로 통화는 때 디버 전부다 강가 부모도 전에 통화시야 저 녹수들이 좋아해서.
Now, ordinarily in the Mahayana Dharma, in the temple of the Mahayana Dharma, in the in the room of the temple, the guru is the principal representation of the guru is principal and made prominent. This is in conformity with the custom of the Mahayana Dharma, especially the secret Mantrayana. But here we have another custom of making prominent and first place here the Buddha Shakyamuni. And this is to suit the customs to the place now. And as it is another new place, we have this custom.
예, 다들 먼저 사서 타보다 아니 지금 여임 신조를 파이죠. 그래서 오늘 저는 먼저 상황진 예, 근데 그때 말했을 때 저거 말했어. 그 상황진 배에 아니 지고야. 근데 내주들의 상황 먼저 나 민코나 돼서 상황을 상시 배배 들어봤어. 상황진은 각 수수 냠내 가르치기 말에 미게 상토를 좀 지고야. 내주들이 여래서
Wrathful deities and deities in union too are ordinarily to be hidden away and are not for showing. And so it is that the Mantrayana is known as the secret Mantrayana. These features of practice are the hidden and secret part.
예, 나디네 거기다 들어가봐들 거기 나는 직지 예장기 아니 꾸게 뭐 공간은 지고 가르쳐 때 찍대 아무도 용원에 지난 때 타고도 꾸도 상황ችን 야제들이 지고 되게 전도 이식을해서 아니 되게 이내야 답하게 공간이 나라 아니 직다 유튜브 돈에 직 다직 아무도 또 칠레 줘야다 아니 직 시작을 내 그벽이 지도라 아니 공간세 로세 아니 나라 타고 꾸도 샤 아니 되게 냐면체 목수지어 이제는 되게 차가래서
And to respond to your question as to why the solitary hero Yamataka is in the protector's room, it's possible too that this is conforming to the custom of keeping certain features of the secret and hidden practice hidden away. Often the deities used in practices of pacification and control of forces are hidden away, and so this too is quite possibly the case then.
다들 상하스기 수수고 있는 상하 면치도 완전 상하체는 나도 미마가 마포도 간 거야. 아니 꾸주도 강압에 상하체는 야고야. 배는 가서 탕가도 칼이게 이 마음이 말은 거지 네가 까베도 완전 까보고. 깝지 아니 그 상하체 미기 수수고 면치 되어 모두 지금 상하체 두고 이네 치도 왜 롱거게 유지다 아니 지금 가데 패션도 차네. 제주도 차네. 근데 다르도 마도 오늘은 막가 아니 배 상황이 두고야 돼. 상황이 두고 있는 모두 유라. 모두 아니 배 지구들이 개발이 요래서 이 어디에 대해서
상에 이 겨르차네 아니 랑상 아니 산줄라 주고
그래. 가만 있어.
맞 집어만서 바스나서 the secret mantrayana is a practice in which the muttering of mantra, the uttering of mantras is to be inaudible by others. And the practice itself is to remain unseen and unknown to others. This is the meaning of the secret mantrayana. And the Tanka have their ply for covering the Tanka itself. So they are to be covered, in fact. And the practice, and it is for the reason that the realizations of the secret mantrayana come with greatest rapidity when they are private practices and the achievement is done in private and in secret. The siddhis are realized more swiftly this way. Any other questions? Excuse me for one moment. Okay, question. Okay.
Coming back to the visualization of dating the Buddhas, there was a note that with active visualizing them helps to purify the practitioner. So why this in context of there's another visualization of the merit field where you visualize a white light coming from the merit field and directly purifying you. So I wanted to understand any other insight on the washing and bathing of the Buddhas.
이게 가리송 그래서나 디 추소디기 팽연 가리요레서나 아니 소소기 규라 옆에 용몽된서 다 얘기 규 아니 그래 다 이네디 아니 소신 검수 신다 닥수이라야 용몽 닥수 신다라야 요레 디 아니 소신디기 왜 까르고 최네 왜 디기 소소기 심라 포네라 심나 포네 아니 요몬된서 닥스 된데 양요와 제산이 개발이 요래 아니 디 치기 케주 신바이 디기 케주 개발이 가리나
그래서 그나마도 다양히 유랑이 뭐 티바 또들라 얘네들이 뭐지 잡아서 된지시 얘랑이 뭐 되게 싸베 내 되게 봐봐 다양히 들해서 다양히 되니라 그래서 다양히 탑들라 망고삼도 단 저거 해서 어서 답당 저거 해서 일단 단다 내가 먼저 하면서 뭐 유로진 하를 때는 유지별자 전부 지금 다 봤습니다 제 이거를 했지 나도 나가서 단단한 초고 신라 때문에 유지별자 제 유지 가오 배도 집어 다 봐지 유지 세워 배도 아니 모두도 랑게 랑 이모티 버서 파는 다네 아니 유대 또버들 개베 메버체 이제 열었어 나도 추치에 대해 그런 냠내 차상직 조신라 때문에 아니 조신라 조신기 질라랑라 마 주마투와다 랑게 조신기 미버도야 다 치마투와도 다 봐체야 어딘지 표현 대신만 뭐 열었어
Ale. Oh, yes, right. This is true. That which is to be purified, the substantial cause is mental afflictions. Cooperative conditions are the klesha, are the karmas. So the substantial cause is the mental afflictions, cooperative condition, the karmas. These are that which is to be purified. Now, there are many techniques for their purification, including, as you have said, the visualization of light radiated from each person of the merit field, and that light and that nectar purifying just these. And when this technique for visualization is employed, then the white light purifies the klesha, the mental afflictions. Yellow light confers the siddhi and the qualities which develop in the mind and in the place of the mental afflictions. So the use of the white light and the yellow light. Now, in the practice of bathing the merit field, there's the special additional value that where the merit field hasn't all the clarity and stability it might have, the bathing of the merit field enables greater cohesion, stability to the visualization.
일단 염려 지도도 체벌지 가려웠는데 너도 봐야 될 레다 유문이 이도 아니 다제 되나 뉴즈도 세니션 뉴즈들이 저레 타버지 세디기 저 니모 타버지 어딘지 비버지 그냥 그래서 막나 열에서
Technically speaking, as there are two to be purified, the klesha, mental afflictions that is, and the karmas, the light purifies the mental afflictions, the klesha. The nectars purify the karmas. Okay, now time's up.
Yeah. 어떻게 다음부터 그렇지 다음 나라는 집에 그 받아 사배님을 때문에 아니지 공산의 단계 배 괜찮고 쉬워 재산에 이거라도 고유도 쉬대요 아니 돈은 선제 선제 탐제라 아니지 그게 간다 저기 냐면 때문에 아니 동해 쉬워는데 요하게 보면 담지야 보나로 나와
Lo, 아니 중어디? 얼마다? 아니 중어 중어.
사총한테 수수 괜찮고 쉬야지 병원에 아니면 고유 넘버는 쉬대요야 내무 쉬야지 아니 세상에 그게 반지 아니 여와 토보도 동해를 저거 지순이하고 너무
By the constructive virtue of listening to an exposition of the Buddha Dharma and contemplating its meaning in the most limited benefit, may each of us who has listened dispel their own, find their own pains and discontents dispelled. In the less limited benefit, may the world with its calamities and pains all find the pacification and end of these calamities and pains. And then in the greatest scope of all, may the virtue of this exposition of the Buddha Dharma benefit countless world sentient beings and bring peace and lasting contentment through the practice of these 6 preliminary practices, ornaments to the fortunate. We dedicate our virtue in this way through the closing prayers.
어떻게 나네 뭐라 베네레도 벨레 토니게 다다라야 뭐 다시 사바게 로메 마레게 노르와 남데 여웨 에마 줌베 세르 군두양 잠베 양기 세르 제손네 Tembe Rimba Gunzan Lamye Jo, Nene Rube Gena Nije Jo, Rangi Jijin Tobe Lamye Ne, Shudra Tewe Jambe Tabi, Rowe Yigi Mumba Seje Ne, Gewe Temba Yurin Zingyuji, Temba Rinji Shoke Magyava, Kyagyan Yambara Gyuve Ninje Jembu Yira Gwayi Pede Tejin Zawara Jebarush
Zhe Yahweh Min Chong Chen Le Ru Chang Shu Lan Ye Ta De Nam Ye Ye La Pe De Xin Yahweh Zeba Rin De Kyang Gir Wang Zang Zhu Be Dun Ge Zhu Jie Jin Ye Jin Si Jin Mi Dang Mi Mi Zhe Ra Gun Du Yahweh Ma Pa Yi Nam Da Lam Dan Zhe Wang Danse Deva Chola Juju Je Sujin Rupa Nunta Deishi Se Sudin Namki Tabu Roje Jin Tashi Yapu Chumgun Yagu. From my two collections, vast the space that I have amassed, from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, I have become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds wisdom I. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my life's wonders. May I find the best of the paths of the complete teaching, and may I please all the Buddhas by practicing. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from my body. With the points of the path as I have discerned, may I hold Buddha's teaching for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction most precious teachings have not yet spread or once spread have declined. May I offer this treasure of happiness to aid all sentient beings. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted boundless peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time by following the complete graduated path to enlightenment and the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas themselves. May all human and non-human beings that eliminate adversity make things conducive for practicing the excellent path, never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddha. Whenever someone makes efforts to act in accordance with the full mind, may he always be assisted by the mighty ones. May oceans of prosperity meet everyone.
Dāgī tīnyē
Zambe Yewa Di Tenda Roa Kemara Jizun Bozan Yi Tembe Nimbo Relu Seje Vare Rave Borwe Shinkam De Pendam Dewa Alu Shukwe Tere Zewa Diki Yasu Yi Shabe Sidi Vadu Dikir Ramya Babu Jeda Kimpa Kundu Zambu Deyam Deshin Eda Kunye Jesu Dalu Yewa Dela Tamche Prabhu Tuzum Shebe Gawa Tamche Ye Mawa Kanda Chutu Mawa Dagi Gewe Tawa Dikuya Sampu Chushir Prabhu I dedicate whatever virtues I've ever collected for the benefit of the teachings and of sentient beings, and in particular for the essential teachings of Venerable Losang Drop. In the land encircled by snowy mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful sinners existing else, please remain until cyclic existence is ended. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are. Also, I dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may publish the virtue. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best, by the victorious thus gone on 3 times, so that I might perform the noble bodhisattva's deeds. May the supreme jewel of Bodhisattva that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more. Thank you. Now, if we've got food and drink outside, then let's please share it together with us. Alex, yeah, so the monks aren't here. We haven't prepared as much, so we'll see what's there. We might need to bring all these fruits out and need those. Thank you.